Ladies and gentlemen, warm round of applause for Emily Housen.
Thank you very much for having me this morning. I'm a little out of sorts, right, with all this technology, and I feel like I'm ready to start on the motivational speaker circuit, so hopefully you leave inspired today. And big round of applause for Jacques for dealing with all this hair and trying to get it, lined up. So, as Stacy mentioned, I'm the Director of Talent Acquisition and Development for the Washoe County School District. I'm pretty sure I have the longest title of anyone in the district, and really what it means is that I am the Director for Recruiting. So I work with 3 staffers, a background technician, a secretary, and 2 folks who run sub-services to make sure that we have all of our jobs filled in Washoe County. And I thought that the story Peter told just a moment ago about his granddaughter was so perfect for this presentation, because one of the really amazing things about working for Washoe County and for the school district is, of course, the opportunity that we have to make a difference every day. And I joined the district in July of last year, so I'm coming up on about 9 months. And even though I don't get to be in the schools every day, I do occasionally, which I love. But I feel like no matter what I'm doing, at the end of the day, I still get to give back to the kids and I still get to make a difference. And so if you are looking for the kind of job where the work you do matters and you can feel every day like the work you do matters, this is definitely something I think you should consider. And I'll be glad to answer questions at the end as well, because we're going to talk about a couple of different types of opportunities today. So I'll just dive right in, and I prefer when presentations are kind of interactive, so we don't have to wait till the end. If you have a question, please don't hesitate to ask, and if I start to speak too fast, which I'm totally guilty of at times, please let me know and just slow me down. So there's 3 different opportunities I thought we could talk about today, and as I was driving over, I thought, you know what, I should have included a 4th, because this is definitely the audience for our administrative and professional technical positions. But there are a couple of categories that I've highlighted here on this slide, and one is called an education support professional, and we'll talk in just a moment about what that means and the types of positions that we recruit for in that category. Then we're going to talk a little bit about how you can become a substitute teacher. I know that many of the folks in this room probably have at least a bachelor's degree, if not advanced degrees, and so this is an opportunity for you to get in the classroom and get a feel for whether or not you are interested in teaching and participating with the children. And then just recently we were approved for an alternative route to licensure program. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you might be able to take your degree and obtain a teaching credential. So maybe a career change for some of you. And then, like I said, the 4th category that I didn't highlight is our professional technical positions. And those are the position that I hold in business and finance and school leadership, that sort of thing. So when it comes to the ESPs, education support professionals, there are these are the folks that really help make the magic happen, right? They're in support of the teachers. Their positions within transportation, classroom aides and assistants, clinical aides and assistants, our nursing and healthcare professional staff, school administrative staff, so school secretaries, timekeepers, registrars, our housekeeping staff. There are a lot of different positions within this category. And what I would say is that I'm not sure exactly how the timing worked out for me to be here, but now is the perfect time for you to fill out an application with us. The way our system works is that you fill out an application and that kind of creates your profile, and then you watch the job board and can attach your application to jobs. So once you've gone through the process of creating your application, then it's really easy. You can check in, once a day, once a week, and say, oh, I'm interested in this, this, and this, and you sort of add it to your job cart. But this is a perfect time to do that, because from probably about next week through July, this period of what I call massive musical chairs starts, and everyone has an opportunity to move in the district. So if you are a secretary at a school right now and you want to move to a different school, this is the time that you make that happen. People are getting promoted, people are deciding to go to other districts. There's just a ton of movement that happens in the next 60 to 90 days. And so having your application ready now positions you really well to, like I said, just watch that job board and then attach your application to positions that you're interested in. So definitely fill out an app. The second category that I mentioned is substitute teaching. Have any of you ever been a substitute teacher before? Okay, a couple. Awesome. Our kids need you, right? We have a lot of teachers. First of all, we have 63,000 students in the district. We have 4,000 teachers that support those students. And between, timeout, because teachers get sick, right? Teachers' kids get sick. But also the district has gotten a lot of grant money in the last few years. And so we do a lot of professional development for our educators to make sure that they're continuing to grow and provide the best learning environment for our kids. So we need substitute teachers, and not just to fill in on a day-to-day basis, but we have long-term positions, like known as intervention positions, where you're supporting a teacher in a classroom long-term. Occasionally a teacher will need to go out on an extended leave, right? And we'll tap on a substitute's shoulder and say, hey, can you help us out with this? So there's really as much work as you're interested in when it comes to substitute teaching. And we are really looking to maximize the capacity of our substitutes. We have a very large substitute pool. Unfortunately, only a very small percentage of those folks work with any sort of regularity. So we need folks that are interested in coming in and picking up assignments on a regular basis. The continuity for our kids is so important, and we also feel like the more a substitute is working, the more we can invest in them, personally and professionally. And so we're really, really looking to bolster the numbers of folks in our substitute teacher pool that are interested in working ongoing and long term. In order to be a substitute, right, the most important qualification is you got to be patient. You got to be kind, right? You got to be courageous. I always, whenever I'm talking to the schools and I'm advocating for the subs, right, I said, remember your first day at work. You didn't know where to park. You weren't sure who you were going to eat lunch with. You didn't even know what your desk was going to look like. That is the substitute's world every day. So you got to be courageous, right? You got to be willing to have a first day every day. And a desire to help kids, of course, because you're the front line, right? And you're coming into a situation that, may or may not be organized, to tell the truth about it, right? Sometimes teachers don't know they're going to be out, and so they may or may not have lesson plans for you, but luckily there's a network at every school of folks that are there to assist and to help substitutes be successful. So if you're interested in doing that, you need to have a minimum of 60 college credits or an associate's degree, and then you'll need a Nevada substitute teaching license, and we'll talk in just a second about how to obtain that.
What is the average substitute teacher? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What are the average periods of time for substitute teaching? Is there an average, or is it just one day, a week, a month?
It's really about what you're interested in. So, like I said, we've got folks who work a couple of days a month, and then we've got folks who this is their primary occupation. So it all just kind of depends on what sort of assignment you're looking for. And we utilize a system called ASOP. It's a dispatching system. So you go in and you can look at the schools that you're interested in, or the grades or assignments that you're interested in, and then pick up what works best for you.
If you get the substitute teaching license this year, will you be eligible to teach in this school year?
Yes. Yeah. What I will say is that if you are at all interested, start the process right away, because the Nevada Department of Education is taking a little longer than we'd like turning those licenses around. It's about an 8 to 10 week turnaround. However, when they accept your application, there's an almost certainty, because they review the file at that time, that you'll be granted an application. So we're starting folks who have a receipt from them that they are processing the application. So, yeah. Any other questions? All right. So in order to become a substitute teacher, as I mentioned, you need to obtain a Nevada substitute teaching license. There is a $161 application fee for the state to obtain that. And you have to go to like Fingerprint Express or one of those types of places to get a fingerprint card. So there's a cost associated with that too. I want to say it's about $50 to get your fingerprint card. Peter and I were just talking before I started about what kinds of programs might be available to help assist with some of those fees. So we're going to try and track down some information and see if there are any grants available in case you don't have the resources to pay that fee right now. Then you would complete a certified application online. And when you go online, you'll see that the applications are broken down in the categories that I've talked about. So there's like an education support professional application, one for certified, one for coaching, and then one for professional technical. If you're interested in opportunities across those disciplines, you'll need to fill out one application in each category, which is a little unusual, and we're working with the software vendor to streamline that. But for right now, you'd have to fill out one application in each category. So you'll need to do a certified application to become a substitute. And then once you have that licensure receipt that we talked about, you can call the Substitute Services office and schedule an interview. And then you'll attend an orientation, and then you can start picking up assignments. So pretty quick turnaround to become a substitute. And again, the most important thing to remember, right, is that it sounds really great in terms of the flexibility and the ability to work around your life and your schedule, but don't take the job just for that reason, right? Take the job because you're interested in working with kids, because the reality is you are the front line and you are the point of contact in the classroom, and kids are kids, right? If you have one or two of them, amplify that by 20. And just, kind of be mindful of what to expect when you're headed into the classroom.
What's it pay?
The pay is a tiered pay, so it's kind of complicated. There's a graph. You start at $82 a day, and then after you work 61 days, get an additional $8, and then after 121 days, you get an additional $8. So what does that get us to? $98. Then if you work a particular assignment, like you're in one classroom for more than 20 days, then you get an additional $15 in long-term pay for that assignment. So depending on which tier you're in at the time, you would add $15 to that if you go over 20 days. And of course, the reason for that long-term pay is that when you've been in the classroom for more than 20 days, you're definitely assuming some additional responsibilities. Right now, you're getting into lesson planning, you're grading, you're updating information in Infinite Campus, you're communicating with parents, and we've got supports to help you learn how to do all of that. Yes?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
My question is with regard to the timeline between application and selecting the particular position that you're interested in and being called in for an interview, I'm assuming, and then if that interview goes well, you might be approved for being a substitute teacher. However, in that timeline, is there a slot for FBI checking your background, et cetera, and how might that add to the overall timeline before you can begin?
So we do a couple of different levels of background check. When you fill out the application, there's a pretty extensive history requested, and myself and our background technician work to request additional documentation, verify references. We do an internal investigation before the fingerprinting process happens. So in terms of total timeline, let's say you went today and you filled out the application, right? You could fill out the NDE application and the Washoe County School District application today. You would have your receipt in hand. You would probably be scheduled for an interview in the next 3 to 5 days, depending on how far out we're booked on screenings. And then once you do that, you do the fingerprinting and all of that. We actually hire, the fingerprinting is occurring while you're working, because the FBI fingerprinting can take up to 8 weeks as well. So interview to orientation is usually no more than 7 days, and we try to get you scheduled the same week if we can. So short term, if you're really aggressive about getting all of the steps completed, you could probably begin picking up assignments in 2.5 weeks. Yeah.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
My name's Wayne Wilson.
Yeah.
Your timing is impeccable. I spent a good part of Saturday and Sunday scouring through the Washoe County School District job postings. So
Excellent.
question for you is this. What steps are required to go from an advanced degree into having licensure as a teacher,
As a teacher.
as a regular teacher.
We're going to get there in just a second. Yeah. Any other questions about substitute teaching?
Once you get the certification, does it need to be updated or upgraded yearly, or is it good for?
That's a great question. So your substitute license is going to have provisions on it that need to be met within 3 years, and those provisions are 6 continuing education credits. And we actually provide access to a lot of professional development opportunities that count for that. You have to take a classroom management course right away. I think you've got 90 days from the time that we do your orientation to take that classroom management workshop. And then outside of that, we have a system called Solutionware. You can go in and look at all of the online and classroom based professional development that we offer, and those will count as continuing education credits toward your credential. So 6 credits in 3 years. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about alternate route to licensure. So when I was set up for this presentation, we hadn't yet been approved, but we're really, really excited about this program because I think there are a lot of folks out there who got degrees in other things that would be really great in the classroom. I always joke, like with folks my age, right, these are all the highly qualified bartenders that got degrees in philosophy and, you know, there's not a lot of philosopher jobs out there. So alternate route to licensure provides an alternate path to obtain a teaching credential for folks who have a bachelor's degree in a non-education content area. So a minimum of a bachelor's degree. If you have an advanced degree in another area, that just helps in terms of what you can be approved for. But we are approved to offer licensure in 4 areas. We can do K-6 elementary licensure. We've got secondary math and secondary science. And then we can also do K-12 special ed. And there's 3 endorsements: autism, and I'm drawing a blank on the other 2 right now. But you can do general special ed, or you can specialize in 3 additional areas. In order to qualify for that alternate route to licensure program, like you said, you have to have a minimum of a conferred bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited institution, a 2.75 cumulative GPA, no prior student teaching. So if you did an ed program and you did your student teaching and then you went, oh yeah, no, this is not for me, you can't do that, right? You'd have to go back and finish your education credential. And then also no prior teaching license. So if you've ever been licensed in another state or in Nevada to be a classroom teacher, you can't utilize the alternate route to licensure program. But it's a really cool program because, like I said, we can take folks who have a degree in another content area, and after they do an application and an essay process, they would go through a screening interview, and that screening interview is designed to determine whether or not someone should be admitted to the program, right? So really it's all about, do we think this person has the capacity to be a successful educator, and do we think it's worth their time to go through the program? Because there is definitely an investment of time and resources for the candidate. Once you get past that process, then you'll schedule and take the core praxis exam. The core praxis is focused on reading, writing, and math, right? We need to make sure you have at least a minimum level of understanding of those 3 things. And then you would go through the application process. So if you already have a certified application to be a substitute teacher, like we talked about just a moment ago, then you would have already gone through this step here. But in order to qualify for the ARL program, you do have to fill out an application and go through our whole background check and all of that. And then there's 120 hours of pre-service coursework and practicum that you do. So the Department of Professional Learning helps facilitate all of this. There actually is no cost to the candidate because we're putting everybody through what we call the New Teacher Academy, and the fees for those courses are waived. Those are a combination of online and classroom-based instruction. And if you were to focus on this program and get your 120 hours and your practicum done, you made this your sole focus and did it full-time, it would probably take 5 to 6 weeks to accomplish all of this, all the pre-service requirements. Of course, if you have another position or you want to continue working somewhere else and piece this together, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Every candidate will approach it a little bit differently, but once you finish that, and practicum is just time in the classroom, right? So you go to 3 different schools for 1 week at a time, and you spend time with different grade levels, different types of schools, so different socioeconomic status, elementary, middle, and high school. And that gives you an opportunity to, again, spend time in the classroom and decide if it's really for you, right? Then once you have done that, then you go through our teacher pool process. So at this point, you've done enough pre-service work, you have content knowledge that you already bring to the program, and our teacher pool process involves teaching a mock lesson and participating in what's called a PLC, a planned learning community, where teachers get together and they look at student data and they say, here's what I see in this student data and here's how I would approach addressing the needs of the different learners. And so, like I said, the pre-service work equips you to participate in that process. Once you go through the pool process, then you go into the pool applicable to your area of focus. So if you're elementary, for example, you would go into the elementary teacher pool and can begin interviewing for specific openings at school locations. At that point, you would get a contract hire, right? So you would be hired as any other teacher would, same salary schedule, same benefits. You begin participating in PERS as a certified teacher. And you've got 3 years then to complete the balance of the coursework, which is, depending on the subject that you pursue licensure in, somewhere between 18 and 24 additional college credits. So those do have to be taken at one of our partner universities. And then also, depending on what your degree is in and then what type of licensure you're pursuing, you may have to take additional praxis exams. So, for example, I have a degree in communication. If I wanted to teach secondary math, I would have to take a math content praxis as well to prove that I had the content knowledge in order to provide adequate instruction. That was a ton of information. What questions do you have?
While you're in this process of getting the organic cloud licensure, is there any opportunity for earning?
You could be a substitute teacher while you're doing it.
Okay. And then once you're done with this thing, and you completed all the requirements, is there a guarantee spot for you as a teacher?
So there's not a guarantee, right? But here's what I will say. The step that we do right here with the screening interview to even get you into the program, we're very sensitive to the fact that we don't want people to invest time and energy and money into this if they're not going to be, if they don't have a good likelihood of success. So this screening interview is conducted by one of our principals, and the purpose of the interview is for the principal to meet with the candidate and really decide, like, is this somebody I would hire in my building if I had an opening? They're not guaranteeing a position, but they are meeting with you and they're saying, you know what, I met with Greg, we spent time together, I think he's got a ton of potential. If I had an opening here, I would hire him once he completes the program. So no guarantee. The second thing that I will say is that if you get accepted into the program and you finish it, there's a pretty high likelihood that you will get a job. And the reason for that is that we're growing as a district, right? We have a lot of openings, and we're pretty upfront about that, right? And there's a teacher shortage nationwide. So our feeder schools are not putting out enough candidates. There are not enough high school graduates going into education programs. And we feel like, as a district, folks who go through this ARL process bring a lot of real world experience and practical knowledge to the role that makes them different from an education program candidate, right? So somebody coming right out of college and into the classroom. Both are great candidates, but like I said, we have a lot of positions available. We are probably going to be hiring about 600 teachers this year. And so I will tell you, there are not 600 college graduates coming out of UNR this year. So, does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay. In a roundabout way. What else? You're probably wondering, why are we hiring 600 teachers this year, right? Think about who goes into education, right? Usually like 20-something white women. And they get into education, and they stay a couple of years, and then they leave to have babies. And they come back, but we have this gap, right? Where there's this sort of cycle of people who leave and come back, and leave and come back, because we hire a lot of folks that are of childbearing age. So I don't want you to be spooked like they have such high turnover. Oh my God, I got to pull my kids out. It's not that at all. We're growing, and you know, we've got folks who are going to go raise families and then come back to us.
One question, if you're successful with the alternative route to license process and the screening interview goes well, and you're being considered for a position, we talked about the salaries and pay for substitute. When it comes to teaching full-time, how does that change?
Pretty significantly, right? So, like I mentioned, you get to participate in the PERS program, which is a defined benefit pension plan, which there aren't a lot of these days, and the district contributes, I want to say like 24 or 25% on your behalf to the PERS program. So that's a significant benefit. And then in terms of salary, there is this like table that's probably about this big that decides where you land based on your years of experience in education. So pretty much everyone who comes in on the ARL program is going to be step 1, which is no experience. But depending on how much education you have, bachelor's plus 16, master's plus 16, PhD, you move over on the scale. So I want to say the lowest part of the scale is, I don't know, 32 or 33,000. But it moves up in that year 1 to probably 45, if I had to guess. And it's online too. All of our salary schedules are on our website at washoeschools.net. So you could always take a peek at that.
Hi, my name is Leslie Nix. I chair the Latino Leaders Roundtable, and education has been a large topic of what we've been discussing for the last year. When you said that you have such a large turnover and that you mostly hire white women in their 20s, part of our discussion has been the recruitment and retention of bilingual teachers and the efforts there, and that once we recruit them into our community, we're not retaining them. And as we move into a more global economy with companies like Tesla coming here, that comment actually concerns me greatly. Can you tell us, because there's a number of people in the room that are bilingual and communities of color, what is the district, what is your department, you know, because I'm bilingual and I've been turned down over and over by the Washoe County School District for positions. I don't understand it. However, what does the district do to recruit and retain more people so that we're representative of the kids in those classrooms?
Yeah, and let me qualify what I said earlier, right? It's not an intentional hiring strategy. That's the majority of folks coming out of education programs. There, of course, are exceptions, but when you look at the demographics, for example, of the education graduates coming out of UNR, that is largely the population that are getting degrees in education. So we absolutely are very cognizant of wanting our entire workforce and our teacher population to more closely mirror our student population, which is very diverse. So we're doing a lot of things in my department. ARL is one big component of that, right? We know that there are a lot of professionals out there who represent a diverse population that have degrees that we can tap into and bring them into the district. We're also working really closely with our CTE and signature programs on a Grow Your Own strategy and helping to encourage our diverse student populations to get into education. And one of our, are you familiar with our signature academies? Sort of, okay. So our signature academies are the career and technical education programs that we have. So we have, video production and graphic design and culinary arts. And right now we have an early childhood education program, but it's focused on the pre-K kids. We're going to be expanding in the 2015-16 school year. We're going to expand that program into an education and training program. So again, in the hopes of getting more of our students interested in becoming educators long term. So, we're addressing it that way. I mentioned that I came to the district in July of last year, and I come from a heavy recruiting and direct sourcing background. And I've worked really closely with my team over the last few months to develop our college recruiting strategy and to make sure that we're getting out to campuses besides those that are just in the surrounding areas. We're doing 14 recruiting trips this year to campuses around the country, again in the hopes of attracting diverse educators and folks who can mirror our student population. And then we've got a network of another 75 schools that we're not visiting, but that we have an email campaign going out to let graduates and alumni know that we've got opportunities, tell them what our district is all about, tell them what Northern Nevada is all about, and get them excited about coming to work in this area as well. So we do have a very intentional strategy, but when you look at the fact that of college graduates in total, nationwide, only 2% are education majors on average. And then you take that 2% and you look at what that pool looks like in looking at solving the diversity question, recruiting is not going to be the only solution. It's going to have to be a combination of programs like ARL, Grow Your Own, and those sorts of things that help make a difference.
Lee Brzezinski.
Hi.
The additional coursework that you have to take, is that master's level work and would it contribute to a master's degree?
It depends on the program that you participate in. So for example, Sierra Nevada College, when you do the coursework through them, they put you in the MAT program, Master of Arts in Teaching. And so the 18 to 24 credits that we have you take satisfy our program, but then you probably should just go on and take a few more classes and get your master's. UNR has more of an a la carte approach, and so we would, depending on your degree and what license you are seeking, we would say these are the classes that you have to take, and then you would work with them to get those scheduled. You'd have to work with them to figure out how it would fit into a master's program, but for them, those are more bachelor's level classes. So it just depends on the partner school. And we have 4 partner schools, UNR, University of Phoenix, Western Governors, and Sierra Nevada College. Yes.
Hi, it's me again.
Hi.
Sylvia. I want to follow up on Leslie's question and your response to her.
Yeah.
Particularly the last part you said about recruitment cannot be the only solution, at the schools or at the campuses cannot be the only solution to the diversity in the workforce.
Yeah.
But that the alternate route, the licensure process, would be one.
Mm-hmm.
So given that this is already in place and it's an effort that is being put out there, is there a component there to connect with the minority communities in Washoe County and Reno, in Nevada already? Because
So-
it seems to me that
Yeah.
Leslie would be a perfect
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I mentioned, this program was approved about 3 weeks ago, so we're very much in the beginning stages of it. But we're working closely with our diversity and equity team to identify, groups such as Leslie's and the Northern Nevada Interfaith Council. We've had some discussions with them, and so there are absolutely a ton of diversity-based groups that we plan to connect with to make sure they know about the program and can help get the word out to their membership as well. And if you guys know of others, I'd love to take notes before I leave.
We'd like to put together a group and talk to you directly about some of the things that impact the Latino community.
Excellent.
And ideas that
Absolutely.
we'd like to chat with you about.
Fantastic.
Hi, my name is Linda Barnes, and my minority group isn't the Latino focus. Where mine is the special needs, the CLS, the strategies class.
Mhm.
You said that this program was just rolled out and approved 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
Is there additional services like through the ARL or other programs to address strategies in CLS?
So in the classroom, you mean?
Either the classroom or going through the college license. Getting them involved into the vocational training piece of it.
So I think.
Like your technical
Mhm.
world,
Uh-huh.
do they have a program that is getting ready to take the special needs population into the getting ready for the working world? And the ARL and the different programs that you have for the professional group that is not licensure, moving that forward?
So I think I understand your question, but if I answer the wrong question, just let me know. So one area of licensure is special education. So folks that are interested in getting a special education license and endorsements can absolutely go through this ARL process and then teach in our CLS and strategies classrooms. In terms of our CLS and strategies students and helping them become educators, is that part of your question?
Helping transitioning into the workforce.
I'm not completely prepared to answer that question. As a part of ARL, we're focused really on folks who already have a bachelor's degree and want to transition into education. We have a really large organization. Frank Salvaggio is the director of it for Student Support Services. And in terms of the levels of programs and supports that they have available for students, I'm not as well versed in that, so I apologize. But if you want to give me your contact information, I can certainly connect you with him and we can start that dialogue around what exists today and what the possibilities are. Yeah, I'd be glad to do that. What else? Is there anybody interested in becoming a teacher? Yay! Great, okay. All right, so next steps, right? Regardless of what you're interested in, complete an online application. That's the first step. And then my contact information is right here. Please write it down. I didn't bring enough business cards. I wasn't sure how many to expect, and I also forgot my computer at home, so I'm like a wreck this morning. But you are welcome to reach out to me anytime if you have specific questions or specific concerns. Leslie, I'd love to connect afterwards and just talk through some of the experiences that you've had, because we certainly want to make sure that folks have a good experience when they're applying with the district. And I will, I'll be right with you.
Just quickly.
Yeah.
You mentioned a third path. Are you going to talk about that also?
Yeah, so just in terms of general information, something to know is that our professional technical category of employees is really the non-classroom based professionals. So folks in HR, business and finance, purchasing, IT, administrative support at the district level, communications, all of those types of positions. When you go onto our website and you're looking at the different job opportunities, the pro tech, admin and pro tech is where you would find those. And those are more kind of traditional recruitment, right? They're not as tied to the cycle of the school year as the others are. So where we're about to see this massive musical chairs happen with ESPs and with teachers, you know, HR openings can happen at any time throughout the year. Same with, you know, marketing and communications and IT. So that's one of those, if you're going to monitor that job board, that's one that I would say monitor year round, because they could pop up anytime.
And Emily, I'm sorry, to help you out, all of these slides will be posted on the SM ProNet group on Facebook. So if you misspelled it or can't see the phone number or email, again, you can check that out on SM ProNet on Facebook.
Awesome. A couple of important things. Don't miss the 2 E's and the 2 L's at the beginning of my name. If people have a problem getting to me, that's usually why. And then the other thing is our phone system is like 1,000 years old, and the voicemail died a couple of weeks ago, so you can't leave a message. But if you don't get me at my desk, then just shoot me an email and we'll schedule a time to connect. I was one of the unlucky ones who didn't check my messages before it went down, so this red light is just looming, and I know there's people in there that need my help, but you can't leave a message.
Perhaps you could hire an IT person or a comms person to solve that problem.
You know what? We need the board to approve the expense of a new phone system, because it's so old you can't even buy parts for it anymore. We need a whole thing.
Would doing the application in person expedite the process versus doing it online, or is that an option?
I'm not even positive that's an option. I think you have to do it online.
Thank you.
Yeah. Questions everywhere. All right.
I just wanted to ask, or maybe state, Did somebody mention to you that one of the programs we have here is a program called Train the Trainer, and that's accessible to everybody within, I'd say, about the first 2 to 3 weeks after they come in the door here.
Oh.
So we get a taste of teaching at the adult level, kind of making a plug for that committee.
Nice.
It's very good training and a way to get your feet into training. It's an adult level, but it's a good taste of what it's like. And we do lesson plans and objectives and things like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know, we do have the Rise Academy for Adult Achievement is our program for folks who, for whatever reason, have exited the school system prior to graduation, and now they are over 18. They want to come back and get their diploma. We've got opportunities to teach both at a substitute and certified level in that group. So that's actually teaching to adults too, if you prefer an adult audience versus the kids.
You mentioned a fourth category. Are you going to talk about that a little bit, or?
That was the professional technical I just mentioned a moment ago. So those are the like IT and communications and business and finance positions.
And the application for those is online?
Same
or-
place, yep.
Same place?
Yep, you're just going to look for those type of positions in the admin and pro tech category.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Hi, Kay Lockhart, Emily.
Okay.
Does your online application system use a keyword rejection type level of system? An IT system that screens your applications or resumes for keywords that automatically kick them?
Nope.
And my second question is, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
My second question is, just to clarify, you are the recruitment manager for the entire district and not just for any individual division of it?
Correct. The way that my department supports the district is primarily with teacher, school leader, and professional technical hiring, but we are moving to support more of the ESP hiring. And so, for example, transportation, right? They're always recruiting for bus drivers. They do a lot, to date, they have done a lot of their own recruiting and sourcing. And I'm working really hard to transform my department into more of a support function for those folks as well, so that we're driving candidates into the funnel and then they can screen them and choose who they want. So we are very, very hands-on when it comes to teacher and school leader hiring. Not as much when it comes to those other categories, but still involved. Absolutely. Yes.
I have a question about the RISE program.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm at PMCC teaching the ABE program, the GED program.
Okay.
As well as I have a master's in education.
Oh, okay.
And I have teaching experience. But what are the requirements in this school district to become active in your RISE program, to be a teacher in that?
So you would either need to have a substitute or a full teaching credential, and then go through our hiring process, our teacher pool process.
What is your supply and demand for the clinic aid? I recently finished EMT and I have a degree in health education.
So I wanted to mention when the question was asked about keywords that I come from a background, right, where it's heavy, high volume recruiting, and I feel like we need to talk to every candidate that we can get our hands on, right, because you just never know who's going to be the right fit for what position. Clinical aides are absolutely an area that we need support in an ongoing recruitment effort, and so if you'd like, I can help connect you to our Director of Health Services, and you guys can talk about specific opportunities. Yeah. So you've got my contact information. When I was in the back and you guys were doing all your announcements and interviews and all that kind of stuff, somebody mentioned LinkedIn as well. I'd invite you to connect with me on LinkedIn. I am happy to facilitate introductions wherever I can, not only within the district, but in my introduction, Stacy mentioned that I spent 11 years with a staffing and recruiting firm, so I have a pretty extensive network. A lot of the companies that you were mentioning that you were interviewing with are either former clients or folks that I have sat on boards with, and so if I can ever help facilitate an introduction, I'm always happy to do that, and I definitely would encourage you to connect with me. And what other questions can I answer? And if you're interested in ARL, please shoot me an email so that I can kind of shepherd you through the process. Like I said, it's brand new, and so we want to make sure that everybody gets taken care of and has all their questions answered.
So I had a question about these
Fingerprint Express.
Yeah.
So how often do you need to go through that process? Like if I went through that process already to be a volunteer at the school, do I need to go through that whole process again?
If it's been more than 6 months, yes. And then you'll have to do a new set of prints every time you apply for a different license. That's something that the state requires. So even if you've been through our process as a volunteer, you'd have to do it again to get your license. They don't let us share fingerprint cards. You have to have a separate one for everything.
Do we have any more questions? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a warm round of applause for Emily.
Thank you.